Hey everybody, so today we are talking about Universe B, soul interference and the law of time. How are you doing today? Thank you for coming along. If you missed it last night, here we are doing it once again because we had some technical interferences, which is very strange, don't you think? Especially when you're talking about a subject that's, for people who are into metaphysics, as important as this one. So welcome aboard, thanks for coming in, and here we go. Universe B, the law of time and soul interference. Thank you for being here today. So basically I had a session with a client yesterday evening, so the inspiration comes from a session, and if you're watching, you know who you are. Thank you very much for my own continual growth, I'd like to say. So the session actually was all about soul pressure. This is where the investigation began from. Hey Stephen, how you going? So soul pressure was the subject between myself and the client, so I began to intuitively investigate, and so this is an intuitive investigation. Okay, so just clearing that up with you, it's not a scientific fact, if you will, but you might be able to find it. It's in some perhaps metaphysical or spiritual database, I suppose. So I looked into it, and it appears that due to assignments dispatched from in between incarnations is the reason why the soul was experiencing soul pressure, as it were. So this is what we looked at. Just get rid of you. This is what we looked at, and we found that this is because of beings from the Universe B, and the law of time had something to do with this issue. So the soul pressure was actually greatly influenced by Universe B and also the law of time. So these were kind of the causative factors as to why it is that there was pressure on the soul level. So the beings from Universe B and the law of time are actually connected. They create a pressure, and the pressure comes from a speed to perform, as it were. And is this a good thing? No, it isn't. The pressure created or creates confusion and anxiety set up to make the mission fail. Okay, so it's a little bit like the analogy of work. When you're at work, for example, and your boss is applying a lot of pressure on you, in other words, speed it up, you know, get this assignment finished as prompto as possible, then what happens is that you are very likely to mess it up, very likely perhaps to not be able to finish it on time, to create confusion, and even to create illness, stress or anxiety. Isn't that possible that that could be the case, right? So this is where the pressure is coming from. Speed, in other words, the law of time, and Universe B. Now, for those of you that don't know what Universe B is, it's also another reference to what we might call hyperspace. It's also a reference to darker dimensions. And when I say darker dimensions, I mean the dimensions, hey Amber, what's up? I mean the dimensions that are really, you know, of the darkness, the ones that maybe perhaps be filled with demonic entities and entities that have a dark agenda, so to speak. Okay, now this Universe B, or hyperdimensional space, as it were, can actually be accessed through the sephira or sphere dart that can be actually found on the on the tree of knowledge, tree of life, that does actually take you to the tree of knowledge. This is the tree of life, and it can connect you to the tree of knowledge, which is also known the Klipoth tree, and is associated to places that a lot of spiritualists don't really want us to know about, which I can understand fully because it's actually quite dark and quite demonic. But these are the places that can create a lot of conflict in our lives and pressure on the soul level when we don't even know that it's there. So it's important, let's say, to know about it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to travel the path, but only to know what it's about. And this particular piece of information can actually be found in my course, which is called the Cosmic Law Ceremonies, that will be kicking off on the 30th of October, and we do actually go into that. What's going on, Good Aim? Thank you for joining today. So the other important piece of information with all this, guys, is we talked about the connection between the law of time and Universe B. How are you doing today? And the law of time is also very important. It's actually kept around the rings of Saturn, okay? This actually causes us to come back again and again and again, or to repeat the same behaviours again and again and again, which again is perpetrated by Universe B and the law of time itself, which creates the pressure on the soul level, of course. So Saturn is holding, you know, these rings that hold the law of time. And of course, if you don't know, the rings of Saturn weren't actually originally there. The Saturn's rings actually appeared much later on. Saturn returns? I guess it kind of does, Good Aim. I guess it kind of does. And it also contains our Akashic records, and it also encloses this kind of the whole karmic matrix, so to speak. And so this is what it is that we want to free ourselves on, right? But when the pressure is on from the beings from Universe B and the law of time, then it encourages us, or locks us into a system where we have to behave in the same way in order to save this matrix, okay, or in order to serve rather this matrix. Now, Saturn itself in Greek is Chronos or Kronos. Yes, that's the name of Saturn. And in Greek, Kronos or Chronos also actually means time. So there is really no coincidence why the planet Saturn is called Chronos in Greek, okay, and why the rings are encapsulating all of these different phenomena to do with reincarnation and a very false matrix that forces us into situations that really, as a soul, we don't want to be in. So to conclude, guys, anxiety or pressure for no reason, or even for a reason, as it were, may have a similar metaphysical root. I mean, we may be carrying it and it might have a similar metaphysical root, which is why I'm actually sharing this with you today. So your soul may be required to be released from the law of time, or from the artificial pressures that are coming from Universe B, and to reinstall the authentic experience of freedom that every soul deserves, of course, and to choose assignments of its own free will if it chooses to come into, you know, taking on assignments to begin with, and physical journeys if it wants to, from a grander perspective from the original I am. And this is basically what we've lost. We've lost the ability to be able to choose from the original I am. Isn't that right, good fella? Right? So this is what we need to reinstall. This is what we need to come back to. And so if you are experiencing this very subtle pressure, as it were, on the soul level that you cannot justify for logical reasons, then perhaps what I have just described in this show may be one of the reasons that you are experiencing this particular pressure that you can't shift. Now, if you cannot shift it with self-work, because it is a very subtle but very deep and very powerful thing to be experiencing, if this is what's going on with you, and you know, you require some assistance to do that, then don't hesitate to contact me. And you can actually do that. You can contact me on my email, fusion7healing@gmail.com. You can find out more information about the course at the end of September on my website, fusion7healing.com, and I also have an event that goes into greater detail about that on my Facebook pages, Helen Christodoulou, so look up my name, find me there. Thank you very much for joining me this morning. My name is Helen Christodoulou. I am also the author of The Miracle Frequency, to be found over on Amazon, all about how I transformed multiple sclerosis to multiple successes, in fact, and it is in a fact. And you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, Helen Christodoulou. Leave your comments and your questions over there, and I will be more than happy to answer to your questions and comments as promptly as I am able to do so. So once again, thanks very much for joining me this morning. Hi to you. And also, just a reminder, aloha. You will be able to join me again on Friday for more. I'm in Cyprus, and don't forget, always make sure that the truth is the guiding force that is always with you today and always, infinitely and eternally. With that, I wish you lots of love. Don't forget to join me here on Periscope for live transmissions, so don't forget to follow to get your live notifications. Thanks again, take care, be good, and if you can't be good, be careful. Ciao for now, bye.